and swamps, half high and low, which cover the ground. Foxes thrive on all these low varieties. The largest single berry grows on a shrub or an understory tree. It's known as the sugar plum, also known as the shadblow. The shad, a medium-sized fish, runs in great numbers up the rivers to spawn in the quiet waters of the lakes or ponds. Londonderry has many varieties of shadblow, and their sugary taste accounts for the name sugar plum. Checkerberries, also known as wintergreen, are a ground cover. The leaves stay on under the snow. The sunset sky forecasts tomorrow's weather. When the heavy snows of winter come, there are few birds remaining in the area. Nature is held in an icy grip. The pale moon shines through the leafless trees, and the hooting of the barred owl chills the blood of small creatures, listening, snuggled in their heavy fur coats.
Greetings, I'm Marilyn Ham, Londonderry's town historian. I'm here at the Morrison House Museum, but you have just seen some images and heard descriptions from 2 previous episodes of Discovering the History of Londonderry, which examined the landscape and natural surroundings of our community. We're now ready to continue our journey and discovery into the settlement era, when Aborigines and Scots-Irish inhabitants helped to carve out a community from a wilderness. This story of the settlement of Londonderry, New Hampshire, presents us with an insight into the very early times of our area and its 2 cultures. The settlement of Londonderry is divided between these 2 cultures, the Aborigine and the Scots-Irish. The word Aborigine means the earliest known inhabitants. Aborigine is preferred, for the words Indian and Native American, which are sometimes used, can mislead. What was the life of the Aborigine like? The life of the Aborigine here is proven by archaeology. Aboriginal projectile points were generally of extremely hard, dark rock. Sometimes, however, they were chipped from quartz, a local mineral. These projectile points, dated by the shapes of their bases, cover 7,000 years. The Londonderry Historical Society has projectile points found by the Parmenter family near the south end of High Range Road. Others came from the Webster family near Cohos Springs in the northern end of town. Additional evidence of Aboriginal habitation was found in the 1920s when Scobie Pond was drained, cleaned, and restocked. In 6 feet of water, the fragment of an Aboriginal dugout was discovered. It was carved by the Aborigine from a 2-foot in diameter tree trunk about 1718. Its bow rises as it glides over the water. Inside, it was carved flat to ease the knees of those paddling. One's imagination must complete the disintegrated high ends and sides to see the dugout as made. When left, it was weighted with stones so that the water and the lily pads would hide it. Lacking the oxygen needed to rot, its wood has been preserved for over 200 years. The dugout may be seen at the Manchester Millyard Museum. In the same time frame of the 1920s, a wooden dugout was found at the bottom of Beaver Lake. This dugout is in the Derry Museum of History. Let us interpret the place names from the dialect of the later Aborigines, who in this area were part of the Abenaki Nation. 2 local place names are derived from the dialect of the Abenaki. Our conservation area is named Musquash Meadow. The word musquash pertains to the muskrats which live in the area.
Parts of Musquash Meadow have returned to primeval condition, ideal for native wildlife. The expansive wetlands in the north end of town are known as the Great Canada Swamp. It is drained by its spring-fed brook. This brook is called Cohos Springs. Cohos means pine tree and bubbles from the sand southwest of Grenier Field. Surrounding our area are other places named by the Abenaki for nature's abundance. To the north is Massabesic Lake, offering fish such as this perch. To the northwest are the Amoskeag Falls on the Merrimack River, with a profusion of fish, alewives, bass, and salmon. The clothing, food, and transportation of the Abenaki were very basic. Clothing was made from the tanned hides. In the winter, fur had the hair inside for warmth. In addition to fish and meat, the Abenaki ate strawberries, black raspberries and blueberries, leafy soups and greens of milkweed sprouts. Nuts in abundance were stored for winter use. Some, like the white oak acorns, were ground up and mixed with meat and meal in soups and puddings. And by following honeybees to their tree trunk hive, the Abenakis obtained honey. In the springtime, the Abenakis collected and boiled sap of the sugar maple trees, thus producing the first maple syrup in the area. The Aborigine made medicines from certain plants. They brewed cherry leaf tea for colds. They boiled a syrup with pine needles to treat sore throats. They made partridge berry leaf tea for stomach aches. Young wintergreen plants called sink were chewed to relieve canker of the mouth. The Abenakis' transportation system was on foot and by small boats. The European settlers' roads for ox carts followed the paths of the Aborigine. We now explore more of the other cultures, the Scots-Irish. What was their background and how they happened to come to New England? The Scotch-Irish, mispronounced Scotch-Irish, is a 19th century term to designate the origin of the British settlers. The Londonderry air, just played on the bagpipes, is a traditional folk tune from the area in Ireland from which the linen makers came to America. For emphasis of the linen makers' background, they wear tartans and play bagpipes, although most were forbidden in British colonies in the 1600s and 1700s. 5 shiploads of Scottish linen makers, prospective settlers from Northern Ireland, arrived in Boston Harbor in August of 1718. They sought wetlands needed to ret flax. This process was used to separate the soft fibers from the woody stems of the flax plant, from which linen is made. These linen makers from lowland Scotland had been enticed with low rents and subsidization of the industry to occupy the vacated counties of Northern Ireland after 1612. It was a ploy by victorious England to insert loyal Scots among the rebellious Irish. Between 1613